Hi, my name is Madison Krumpeck. I am 20 years old and I have been diagnosed with primary ovarian insufficiency. I've thought of several different ways to intro this video that are a little lighter and more fun, but the subject that I'm talking about is kind of serious. The reason that I'm talking about it, I don't just normally talk about my ovaries on the internet that often, but I don't think anyone really does. The only thing that has helped since I got my diagnosis about a month ago is talking to other women and finding out that there's all of these health issues that people aren't talking about or they feel awkward about, especially when it comes to issues of fertility and female issues. I know so many women with endometriosis or who have had miscarriages and just feel this intense shame. Like, we can't talk about it. We have to just keep it in a box. We don't talk about our periods. That's weird or too much information. And I just think it's bullshit. So I wanted to throw mine out on the internet and just let people know that if you're struggling with this or anything else, you're not alone. So basically, I'm going to go through the journey of how I got to this point. I have always been somebody who has had a very regular period. Ever since I was young, I was on birth control, the Depo-Provera shot, from 16 to 18 years old. And even on that, you're supposed to for a lot of women, you slow down or even stop your period. That's why a lot of women prefer that method, and that never happened with me. I've always bled very regularly. Not really a thing I ever thought about. I went off of that after 2 years because I had heard that it can decrease bone density, and my doctor just thought it would be better for me to go off of it. I was about to go to school. I didn't really want to worry about it, so I went off birth control. I tried the pill right when I got to school, and it made me so hormonal and depressed that I quickly went off of it. I was like, that's just not for me. And whole time, never worried about a period. Then this past December happened, 2 days before Christmas, normal period, and then the next month I didn't get one. And I thought that was weird, obviously. So then, your mind starts spinning normal thoughts. I was 99.9% sure that I wasn't pregnant, but there's that fraction of a percent that thinks that that could be a thing. And I'm just sitting there and I'm panicking, I'm 20, I don't know if I want to have kids, I don't know what I would do about kids, I don't have money, I don't have a plan, and it was just this overwhelming fear. And I talked to no one other than my partner, who I will say throughout this entire thing has been the single most supportive human being on the planet. Without him, I don't know how I would have gotten through this. So I took a test, it was negative as I thought, and so then I waited another month. Nothing. Definitely I never skipped one. Absolutely I never skipped two. So I went to the doctor right away. I was like, hey, this isn't normal, this isn't me. And she's like, meh, you're skinny, you're stressed, I'm sure that's what it is. They did, 2 different types of pregnancy tests, that wasn't it. They did an STD test, that came back, negative. So she's kind of like, well, we could put you on birth control to regulate them, but you have to bleed first. So let's wait another month, hopefully it'll come. That never happened. So I go in again. You're skinny, you're stressed, you're in college, it's nothing. No, I've been really weak, I've been feeling really warm a lot, something is weird. I just knew. I knew, and it sounds so weird, but something wasn't right with my body and I just knew it. So basically, what I did was they gave me a pill. It's a female hormone called Provera that you take for 10 days, and it's supposed to start your period. And they said that you'll either start your period while taking it, or it could take 2 to 10 at the most days after. So I took it, nothing. Waited 10 days, nothing. So I messaged the doctor, and she's like, oh no, I could take 3 weeks, which she had always said, 10 days the most, and you call me. So I waited another couple weeks, nothing. So I go in there, and they're like, well, we don't know what's causing it, but, you're skinny, you're stressed, you're in college. Let's just put you on birth control and hope that you're fine. So I was going home the next month, and I just knew that I had to do something. So I went to the Cleveland Clinic, and I made an appointment with an OBGYN. And she was like, at the worst, you have polycystic, which is super manageable, and you can take medication, and you'll be fine. She's like, you are skinny, it's probably that. No need to worry, but let's do some blood work, which I can't tell you the amount of relief that washed over me from having that. Just something, some step forward. I'm sitting on my mom's couch a couple hours later, and I get some test results. And my doctor had said when we were talking, she's like, you might have low estrogen, which can cause just a couple of the symptoms that I had been having, the acne, some of the other things. My estrogen levels were almost undetectable. And there was this thing called FSH that they had tested, and it basically determines if you're in menopause or not. And I was through the roof. And she gave me this little diagnosis in the test results called primary ovarian insufficiency. She told me I needed to schedule an appointment with a reproductive endocrinologist immediately. So my mom and I didn't know what was going on. We're Googling, we're freaking ourselves out, saying early menopause, no children, like all of these big scary buzzwords, and we're losing our minds. And so I'm on hold with Cleveland Clinic for like an hour plus because I am 20. And for most insurances to cover a gynecologist, you have to be 21. And so I'm getting bopped around trying to see this specialist, and they're like, you're not even 21. We're not gonna recommend you for a fertility doctor. And I'm like, no, like I'm going through menopause according to this thing that somebody just told me. Like, I don't know what's wrong, but my ovaries are failing. They're insufficient. Like, you see that word next to a body part that's supposed to like be incredibly important to you as a female. How the fuck are you supposed to feel? Finally, I got an appointment for 2 months. For 2 months, I wasn't gonna have any answers about this diagnosis, and I was freaking out. So I've waited so long already, and she's like, I can't believe that they made you wait 2 months. The guy's literally coming in tomorrow. Like, we can get you in immediately. And the relief to know that, like, okay, I'm gonna get more answers tomorrow, but also the fact that I needed to be seen that quickly, I kind of already knew what they were going to tell me. I saw the specialist the next day, and he basically told me that I'm probably never going to know why this happened, but my ovaries essentially have stopped firing as normal, which decreased the production of estrogen and has also increased this chemical to let you know that your ovaries have stopped firing, which allows a lot of women to know when they're going into menopause. I am in primary ovarian insufficiency. Sometimes it's premature ovarian failure. It depends on the wording, can be kind of interchanged. But essentially, I am in menopause at 20. I have to be on a birth control pill to increase my estrogen so that I don't develop osteoporosis, which thank God I saw this doctor, because I literally was put on a birth control shot by these doctors at this other place that would have decreased my bone density when I'm already at risk for osteoporosis because of this estrogen. Like, thank God I got answers. But so he basically told me that I will be on that. I want to have children. And then if I do, I will most likely need an egg donor. There is a chance that I could spontaneously ovulate at any point, or I could not. I could randomly pop out of this whole menopause thing, or I could not. He says that, there is no cure, but for some women it just kind of happens. And that's what I've been left with for the last few weeks. There was one other test that they ran to see if it was a chromosome issue. It was not. So they thought I might have a partial X chromosome, which at that point would mean I just needed to have my ovaries straight up removed. I had to wait about 2 weeks for those results, which was very stressful. So yeah, it was really scary, but I got those results back and they were good. I have high thyroid antibody levels. I don't really get what that means, but essentially I have to get that checked yearly. But finally I had answers, and health-wise, I'm fine. But just talking to the women in my lives since, I don't know how many stories I've heard of. I went into the doctor's office and they just told me I was tired. Or, I've been trying to have kids for years and I finally have gotten my answers. Or they just told me, like, sorry, your cramps are bad. That sucks. You're a woman. Nobody feels understood and accepted, and I just wanted to get my story out there. So I hope that this was informative. As far as my feelings about my diagnosis, I'm kind of past all of the stages of grief right now. I was never really somebody, I've always kind of thought about kids in the back of my mind, but I was in a really unhealthy relationship for a long time, and then I've seen a lot of really unhealthy relationships in my life, so kids were always kind of a scary idea for me. And then I've been with my partner now for a few years, and just the idea of having a family with him and moving my life forward with him made me really excited. And so this hurt. You know, I've never had to think about adoption. I've never had to think about an egg donor, you know, not getting to pass on my genetics. Like, it sounds stupid and selfish, but it's something I have to process at 20, which not a lot of people do. And it's been kind of hard. Some days are better than others, you know. I see my crazy brothers and I'm like, ooh, I'll be the cool aunt. Like, I'm cool. But then, like, on Mother's Day, I'm seeing all these pictures of people with their moms, and it kind of ripped my heart out. So, I will be okay. My family will just take a little bit more planning, you know, but God has a plan, and if anyone has experienced anything similar or feels touched by anything I've said, feel free to reach out.